In 4th grade, I joined choir, and it was really fun. We sang songs about eating pizza and Breakaway by Carrie Underwood. A few months in though, my choir teacher informed us that we would have to do a whistling song. I was embarrassed because I couldn't whistle, so I tried to quit the club. However, after talking with my parents, I realized that I shouldn't quit choir because I couldn't whistle, when overall, it brought me so much joy. This leads us back to today's quotation. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do, by John Wooden. What this means is that in order to truly succeed and live our best selves, we must focus only on what we can do and the amount of effort we put in. And we can see it in 3 key areas. First, always doing our best despite outside circumstances. Second, overcoming our limitations. And lastly, controlling the way we live. First though, we always have to focus on trying our best, despite what the outside circumstances may foretell. And for that, we can see the story of Soichiro Honda. Soichiro Honda was a Japanese businessman in the 1940s. However, in the 1940s, all 3 of his factories were blown up during bombing in World War II. Most people at the time would probably stop going into the field of factory making after losing 3 factories. However, Soichiro Honda knew that while he could not control what happened on the outside, the only thing he could control is what he did next after these failures. And lucky for him, at his 4th factory, he created the idea for the motorcycle. And today, the Honda Corporation is one of the biggest companies in the world, all because he kept on going. We must take a lesson from Soichiro Honda. He knew that the world is full of chaos. However, the only thing we can control in that chaos is ourselves. So yes, while we all might go through problems at some point or another, the most important thing for all of us to remember is that we always have the chance to make the next step, no matter what. Then, we must take a look at how we must overcome our limitations. And through that, we look to the story of actress Marlee Matlin. Marlee Matlin became deaf at the age of 18 months. Unluckily for her parents, at the age of 5, she professed that all she wanted to do was become an actress on the screen. They were scared that she was going to be ridiculed and tried to convince her not to go into this industry. However, Marlee was determined, and at the age of 7, she made her stage debut as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. At the age of 21, Marlee Matlin became the youngest ever actress to win an Academy Award for Best Actress, and is also the only deaf actress to still hold that award. All because she knew that she had to overcome her limitations. She knew that she would never be able to hear, and that would always be a struggle for her. So instead, she focused on what she could do, working her hardest and always being the best person that she could be. This is something we all must learn to do and emulate. Some things will always be impossible for us, and no matter how hard we try to stop them, they will always happen. But what is important to remember is that we always have the chance to keep on going, no matter what. While we cannot beat the impossible, we also must learn that we must not stop with the impossible, and that every failed path is a new beginning. Lastly though, we must take a look at how we must control how we live our lives. And through that we can see the story of Ryan White. Ryan White grew up in a normal town in a normal community with a normal family. However, at the age of 10 during a blood transfusion, he contracted HIV and it quickly progressed to AIDS. The doctor told him that he would only have mere years to live. Most people at this scenario would simply give up on life. However, Ryan White realized that though he was given a death sentence, there was no sentence on how he must live the rest of his life. For the next 7 years of his life, he started a charity that has raised millions for AIDS awareness and research. And additionally, he lived the rest of his life with his head held high, because he knew that while he was in a bad scenario, he always had the power to make himself happier by always focusing on the good things in life. Leading back to today's quotation, "Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do," by John Wooden. What this means is that in order to truly succeed and live to our best selves, we must focus on how much effort we put in and what we can do to make the next step forward. We saw it in 3 key areas. We took a look at how we must only focus on our actions despite outside circumstances, just like Soichiro Honda. We took a look at overcoming our limitations, just like Marley Matlin. And lastly, we took a look at taking control of our life and choosing how we will live, even in desperate times, like Ryan White. I was wanting to quit choir, and I know it was silly that I couldn't whistle. But the more important lesson out of the day was, I should not quit choir because I cannot whistle. Instead, I need to stay in choir because it brings me happiness no matter what. So while we might not always be able to control what the world will do to us, we can always control what our next step will be.